As Pope Francis sees it, the measure of the greatness of a society is found in the way it treats those most in need, those who have nothing apart from their poverty. Thanks to Michele Brown Steeb, our society is greater because of the way she treats those most in need. Growing up in Saratoga, California, Michele thought a college experience far from home would build character, but after short stints in Alabama and France, she learned the university closest to home was the best fit all along. Once on the Mission campus, Michele relished the discussions fostered in all of her classes. The exchange of ideas cultivated her mind and heart, and today, she credits her decision-making process and outlook on life to her Santa Clara education. After founding and leading 2 startups, Michele executed the most important merger of her life. One of her investors introduced her to another local business owner, Jim Steeb. The two turned out to have a lot more than a board member in common, and they were married in 2006. Michele and Jim are proud parents to 4 boys, Jacob, Zach, Joey, and Christian, and 1 girl, Brooklyn. As a way of honoring the passing of her paternal grandfather, Michele joined the board of St. John's Program for Real Change, the largest shelter in Sacramento County for women and children experiencing homelessness, often as a result of poverty, drugs, and violence. After a tour in December 2006, Michele was moved by St. John's purpose to provide a safety net for some of California's most at-risk populations. She also discovered funding was dwindling, bills were going unpaid, and staff members were stressed. Although employed at the California Chamber of Commerce, Michele's mind kept returning to the needs at the shelter. Her boss graciously granted her a month sabbatical so she could focus on the nonprofit and help lead it from the brink. And that month turned into 11 years. When Steeb arrived, St. John's was a 30-day emergency shelter. But everything changed when Michele realized 2 of the women in their program had been there before. The first time was a generation earlier when they themselves were children. As the reality of poverty set in, so did an idea for change. St. John's could provide solace and immediate support for those in dire situations. But what if it could also help break the generational cycle of dependence and destitution? With Michele's determination, creativity, and hard work, this expanded vision for St. John's has become a reality. The program now includes a 12 to 18-month continuum of services, including lodging, mental health therapy, addiction counseling, high school diploma attainment, and full-time childcare. Many of the women work at one of St. John's 2 eateries or the First Steps Child Development Center, where they learn skills that land them real-world jobs after they leave the shelter. Under Steeb's leadership, St. John's annual budget has grown from $1 million to $7 million and reduced its dependency on public funding from 80% to less than 30%. It also expanded capacity from 14 bedrooms that served 100 women and children to 270 beds that serve more than 1,000. For her efforts, Michele has been honored as one of the city's top executives by Sacramento Business Journal and Woman of the Year by District 7 Assemblyman Roger Dickinson. Earlier this month, St. John's was also named a model program by the California League of Cities and California State Association of Counties. Michele's goal is to continue growing the capacity of St. John's to accommodate the hundreds of women currently on their wait list. She also wants to eventually include men, who make up the majority of the homeless population. Most importantly, she hopes St. John's will serve as a shining example across the country for how to empower homeless women, especially mothers. Each day, Michele lives the values of Santa Clara University, engaging with the greater Sacramento community in an effort to leave the world a more just, humane, and sustainable place. Her work not only impacts those in crisis, but also future generations born into families taking those first, important steps away from poverty and towards self-reliance. For making our society greater, because of the way she treats those most in need, the Alumni Association is proud to honor Michele Steeb with the 2018 Ignatian Award.